having experienced the league without social media and now seeing what your players endure, what's your thoughts on the role it plays?
Social media it's a rough place to live in. Is the world of social media. It's the opinions of other people. I respect what other people feel, but it can go so far sometimes, and it goes over.
Stood out to you about Kayla Davis and why you wanted to sign her for the hardship contract. Did you and Jeff have any conversations and why she stood out to you?
Absolutely, had major conversations. Before we made a decision, we sat down for many hours of what we thought could be of help to us with being 6'1", 6'2", a big body, can play in multiple positions, and that was something that we needed to be able to help Michaela in that area.
How much do you expect her to play tonight?
We'll see. We'll see. That's to be determined.
And then obviously, a needed topic right now to discuss is Commissioner Cathy Engelbert's comments on Monday. I'm curious, we've talked a lot this season with you about the role of social media. This franchise has put out an anti-bullying campaign last month or a few weeks ago. What was your reaction to her comments on Monday?
I'm very quiet on things that people say, but we cannot tolerate racism, hatred in anywhere, especially in this league. That's what I see. That's what I feel.
When you were a player in this league, obviously social media wasn't around. What can you say about the impact that it plays in these players' lives? There's a lot of people who think you can just merely keep social media separate from your life, but I think all of us covering this league realize that's not the reality. So I'm curious, having experienced the league without social media and now seeing what your players endure, what's your thoughts on the role it plays?
Social media it's a rough place to live in. Is the world of social media. It's the opinions of other people. I respect what other people feel, but it can go so far sometimes, and it goes overboard sometimes, and it crosses lines and boundaries sometimes. And I'm very proud of how our young ladies have been handling themselves with the things that have been said. It's been tough. It's a tough thing to try to navigate, but we just keep them encouraged. It's not like it doesn't happen to me too. So I want to be the example of how to handle those things. You are who you are. No one can tell you who you are. You have to believe in who you are and what you stand for, and try to just stay as far away from commenting on things that should not bother you as much, because I've spent the majority of my time loving on people who love me.
When you look at Washington, the game that you just recently played against Washington, and you look back at the tape to prep for today, what were some things that kind of stood out on things that you wanted to see for improvement in tonight's game?
Well, we always talking about our defense, because they shoot the ball very well behind the arc and push the ball tremendously well in transition. So our transition defense is a must for us, and to cover the arc. And a lot of times you get back in transition, it's about covering the hole. Well, with this team, it's about covering the arc. So we want to be better there. We want to make sure that we're being the aggressors. We want to be the most aggressive team from the start to finish.
As the clock to the season just starts to tick down, what's kind of the mentality that you want to have, that you want to see out of this team as you guys are trying to make this playoff push with just so many games left and knowing that kind of every game is a must-win situation? How are you trying to keep the team mentally grounded?
I like where we are. Everyone comes in and we work hard every single day. We know what we want. We know what the mission is, and we understand how important each game is. And we're on an incredible high. Our confidence level is extremely high. We never lost confidence no matter what. And that's where I want them to stay. There's things you have to do with that amount of confidence you have stepping between the four lines. There's a game plan that is a must that has to be executed for 48 minutes of basketball. So we want to be able to do that. 40 minutes of basketball. I don't know where I'm getting from. I guess everything is rough right now.
I'm sorry.
No.
Speaking of that playoff push, I'm just curious, are you the type that talk to your teams directly about where we are in standings and what the schedule is like, or are you more sit back and like, hey, we're just going to focus on tonight and let the chips fall where they may in a week or two?
We as a staff focus on the standings, of course, but we have our players focused in on us. We want to dial in on who we are. We don't want to focus on anyone else. We want to focus in on us and what we have to do. And that's the most important thing for us every day. We step into that gym to go to practice. We focus in on the things that we need to correct, things we need to be better with. And that's what we decide we want to focus on. It's not about pressure. This game, you start to put pressure mentally on yourself, and then things go in the opposite direction. You kind of have to take pressure and use it in another way and see it as power. And that's what we want to do, is see it as power. We're in a very powerful position, and that's how we want to approach it. Thank you.
Before the season, you walked way back in May. I can ask you about coaching players' mental health and coaching a player too. How has that changed this season? Has that changed at all the way that you approach coaching someone's mental health and player too, especially with a season that's been kind of rough when it comes to the outside?
No, nothing changes. And the most important thing is their mental health. You know, I mean, you want to make sure you take care of that, because if that isn't where it should be, nothing else comes. So the mental health is the most important thing, that you're trying to make sure that they're okay. It's the most important thing. You know, the injuries and the sicknesses and the things that you go through in the game of basketball, the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows, the things that you go through. So you want to continue to talk to them and keep them lifted. You know, you don't want to get too high, want to get too low. You want to make sure you stay within who you are and what we're trying to accomplish as a team, and stay as confident as you possibly can be.
How is the conversation, how have you seen the conversation around mental health change since you were a player? And how do you see that impacting players now in their performance on the court, having these conversations now?
Well, it shows that it matters. It matters. It's a very serious situation. And you want to take it as serious as you possibly can when you're dealing with players who are probably feeling a certain way. You want to make sure you know how to handle it, you know how to approach it. It's a very serious situation, so you want to handle everything like that in a very, in the correct way. You want to handle it all in the correct way, because it is serious and it is important. You want them to know whatever it is that they're going through. And basketball is secondary at that moment. You want them to know whatever it is that you can do to be of help, to keep them lifted, to keep them going, to keep them thinking in a very positive way. You want to be there.
When you look at Isabel Harrison, especially her stepping in with Angel being out, and just the trajectory that she's had over the last year, not playing last year, and then starting to kind of get her legs under her this year, what growth and positives have you seen out of her stepping into this starter role here at the end of the season?
I've always seen Izzy as a double-double. She has the ability to be a walking double-double. And that's what we want from her. And when she steps on the floor, she's very confident in her role. She takes her role very seriously, and she's doing a really good job for us in these last few games of really scoring the ball for us, moving the ball for us, defending for us, setting screens for us, all the little things that people don't pay attention to. She does those things, and knowing that she's stepping into that starting role, she's taking a role and she's rolling with it.
Coach. All right, thank you.
Let's get it.
Thank you.
It's game time.